Happy 2024, my financially intentional people. Woo, a new year is underway. And let me just tell you something 2023 almost took me out, but I am determined to have a better 2024. And what I want to do is kick this new year off right with some new goals for the podcast. So I'm going to go over my 2023 month by month and let you know what was going on, just to kind of do a recap of last year. And just give you a heads up, I'm changing the format of the Tuesday episodes. I am going to occasionally have experts on, but by and large, it's going to be me coming on the podcast and giving more insight about my financial story, what's going on in the background of my life, just so you can get to know me a little bit better. I've kind of pulled away a little bit in the last year because I was just trying to deal with my own stuff. But I am committed to serving you guys better and being more engaged with my community because I miss you guys and hopefully you guys like it. And I hope to get feedback. So I'm looking forward to hear what you guys think about it. But I did want to share some statistics from the podcast. So we started off last year really just relaunching the podcast. We relaunched it in December 2022 with hopes that we can go back full force in the podcast, and quickly 2023 kind of went downhill with me with complications with my pregnancy and things that were going on. But I still tried to keep the podcast episodes coming out twice a week, even if I had to replay some of the most popular episodes. But my heart really wasn't in it because I had so many other things to focus on. And I really felt bad about it because every time I got the opportunity to podcast, it felt amazing and I missed it so much. And I just wished I had the energy and effort to put more into it. And so with all hopes this year, we're really going to kick it up a notch. And I really want to get the podcast out to more people. So if you're enjoying the podcast, you've been rocking with me for years, I would love if you share, rate, and review the podcast. And then give me some feedback on what you want to see in the podcast in the coming year. But I'm going to go through some of like my wrap for the year for the podcast. So last year, I put out 87 podcast episodes. And even though I didn't produce as many podcasts as I was like, this podcast still ranks in the top 25 of the podcasts that are on my podcast player app. I think that's great. I guess Houston loves me. Houston is the most popular city to download my podcast, followed by Brownsburg, Indiana, which I don't know where that is, Los Angeles, California, Atlanta, Georgia, and then in Sacramento, California, closer to my home. So thank you guys for rocking with me. Amazingly, I have been represented in 93 countries. Of course, the US and Canada are my highest listened countries, but then there's the United Kingdom, Germany, and Turks and Caicos. Y'all rocking with me in Turks and Caicos. I love that. My most popular episode was the one that I did about achieving fire at 36 with the amazing nurse that creates content, educational content on TikTok and provides resources through there. Stephanie Berg, she was amazing. Then the state of student loans, where we had Stanley Tate come in here and give us an update about student loans. Then how to graduate from college debt free with money in your pocket. That is with my friend Chris Carithian. He really came through. House hacking and side hustling to financial freedom with my boy Andre Albish. I'm always going to mess his name up. That's episode 9. And then taking stock of your life and money was my 5th most popular episode. I had this year 120,000 downloads, and I am just super grateful for you guys for hanging in there and listening. But again, I'm going to do a better job of getting the podcast out there, doing a better job of being more consistent with the podcast, because I really feel like this is a great conduit of information. It's how I learned how to become financially free. It was what I heavily leaned on, and I just really want to be a resource for my community. So in going back to look over 2023, like I said, it almost took me out. and just kind of like month by month, like the highlights of what was going on. January started off really good. I mean, obviously I was pregnant, but I was still, everything was beautiful. And then that last week of January is when I found out that I was at risk of losing my baby for something called cervical incompetence, which is really shouldn't be called that because it's pretty sexist. My cervix isn't incompetent. It's just that I had I was at risk of my cervix opening and dilating and just physically not being able to hold the baby in. So last day of January had to have an emergency cerclage, which is where they literally sew up your cervix, which is just the entry to your uterus to hold the baby in. So I had to have a procedure to physically hold the baby in. And that was the last week of January. And that was right before I went to South Africa. Spent some time in South Africa. Obviously, didn't podcast there, but I had some episodes recorded. And so in South Africa, I really took that time to kind of be with myself and just chill and relax. It was a beautiful country, beautiful people. We stayed at some amazing places, got to see some sights. But for the most part, I just hung out with a group of people that I came out there with. And I spent a lot of time just sitting and reflecting and just enjoying those moments before I had another little baby. Came back in mid February and was placed on restrictions at work and was only like being a charge nurse, if you know what that means. So not really taking on patient assignments, but I still do patient care. But I do that typically out of the 3 shifts I work a week. I usually do 2 of those shifts as a charge nurse. It was only 1 shift a week that was changed. And by the last week of March, my managers was like, we can no longer accommodate you. So therefore I had to go on disability leave early. And that kind of was around the time I started having high blood pressures and complications with my pregnancy. And so I was going to the doctor twice a week. And this would mean me driving oftentimes 2 hours in one direction to go to the doctor. So it's like I was off work, but then I was actually driving so much more than I did when I was working, going to doctor's visits and seeing all these specialists for my high blood pressure, checking on the baby. And so that was March and April. I had my baby shower in late April, and found out she wasn't growing well. So then I really had to have biweekly doctor's visits, and it was really hard. Another thing I struggled with earlier in the year was kind of facing some discrimination from my maternal fetal medicine doctor who tried to refuse to see me and then discovered that I had the cervical competency. So going back and forth with and dealing with that, actually having to file against his license in the state because I felt like if I hadn't advocated for myself, I would have lost my baby. So sorry, that was kind of a rewind, but just a reminder of the things that I was going through this pregnancy. I turned 42 in May, a little over a week later. I went into labor exactly at 36 weeks. And then shortly after midnight, I had to have an emergency C section because I was going into labor. She was breech, meaning that she was butt down and the cord was around her neck. So I gave birth to Zuri on the 24th of May at 5 pounds and 5 pounds of 1 ounce. But by the time we left the hospital, she was a little like 4 pounds, 10 ounces. So her tiny little thing, but great eater, great nurser. And after we spent a month at home, we were on the road, took her first trip the day she was on her due date. She was due June 20th, but on her due date, we were on a flight to go to Atlanta. We spent some time in Atlanta, came back home. Then we went to go visit my sister in New Jersey. Then I spoke at a conference in LA the following week. So that was June. Then July. In August, we took a trip to Europe where we went to stay primarily in London. We went to Birmingham and visited some friends in Cambridge. Then we went to Norway while we were there. So we were traveling. And then we came back, we took another trip to LA. So then, and by this time it was October, we went to DC, then came back in New Orleans. So if you guys are keeping count, My daughter, who is now currently 7 months, has been to Atlanta, New Jersey, LA twice, London, Birmingham, Norway, Cambridge. But where else did we go? New Orleans, DC. I mean, so she's a globetrotter, and she's a champ. She travels great. But yeah, so I have had a crazy year. And then I came back home and kind of just been heads down working on some stuff in my business. If you guys haven't noticed, I just launched a clothing subscription service the first day of the year. So yesterday, I'm recording this actually today, but it'll come out tomorrow. So I just launched a clothing subscription box because I had to find a solution for my clothes. I was tired of spending money on clothes because nothing fit appropriately. I was wearing the same things over and over again because I was breastfeeding and I couldn't breastfeed in certain clothes. And I had all these events and things to do. I do a lot of content. And so it's important to me to have an updated wardrobe. Like before, I really didn't care. I was like mostly in scrubs. And I have clothes and dresses that I used to wear that I've had before my oldest daughter. But it became apparent that I could not fit most of the stuff in my wardrobe. So I was like, how can I figure out a way that I don't have to spend so much money on my clothes? And so partner with the company and we came up with the subscription box service, which is $50 a month for unlimited styles. You get two pieces at a time, just switch them out as many times as you want. And yeah, it's been working really well. So I love that. And so I've been working on a lot of things in the back end, but also preparing to go back to work. And hopefully I'll go back to work sometime this month, but also trying to figure out childcare and all those fun things. Another thing that happened towards the end of the year was that right before Halloween, my oldest daughter's father passed away. So trying to help her deal with that grief. And then a couple weeks later, my grandfather passed away, which took me out. Like my grandfather was like my ace boon, my best friend. Like he helped raise me. It was years I just lived with my grandfather. And so that was really devastating. But all in all, he was here 95 years. He never really suffered. He kind of had a heart attack and then didn't really recover from it. We got to say goodbye to him. It was kind of the most ideal transition. And I thought, oh, he's 95. Like when he was getting older, like I'll be okay if he passed away. I was not okay. So it has definitely been a man down situation for the last couple of weeks, and especially because it was a week before Thanksgiving. So navigating the holidays without my grandfather, where I have spent all the holidays of my life basically at my grandfather's house with my grandfather. So that was a really hard blow. Obviously, I'm still not over it. But yeah, again, let me just go back to the more optimistic things. I'm really looking forward to this new year. I'm really looking forward to sharing more with you about what's going on behind the scenes, how I've navigated some things, how far I've come in this process. And I want to use this platform to do it because I love podcasting, but I have not been able to pour the energy into it that I feel like it deserves because I know how powerful this platform can be. So I'm looking forward to chopping it up with you guys on Tuesdays. Please subscribe, share with your friends. Rate the podcast on Apple Podcast Player and on Spotify. This really helps get the podcast out there to other people and lets people know that they should listen. So it's even easier now. Before you have to write this long review, now you can just rate by just clicking on the stars. Leave it there however you feel. Be honest. Of course, I feel like the podcast could be so much better, but I feel like I have been able to still, in all the things, put out some amazing content that I hope you're enjoying. But again, I am striving to be so much better. So I hope you guys have the very best 2024. Looking forward to hearing your feedback, looking forward to engaging with you more, and just looking forward to just having a better year overall and wishing you the very best. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. But yeah, that's what we're going to go forward. And we're going to have short episodes like this, but just doing some really great recaps. So looking forward to your feedback. And I hope you guys have an amazing year. I created a solution to solve the problem that I was having with my wardrobe that I know my friends have been telling me that they are struggling with, not being able to fit most of the stuff in your closet right now. If you're like me, you have clothes in your closet that you probably have for years that you keep around because of how much you paid for it, or they're still cute. But at the end of the day, you're hoping that you can still like fit back in it. It ain't working, sis. And so I have fluctuated about 30 pounds just over the last year. Obviously, I was pregnant. Now I'm not pregnant, but still like trying to lose that weight. So not trying to commit to buying new clothes that I am going to probably not fit into next month. So I created a way to keep me and you looking fly without putting a major dent in your pocket. And the best part about it is you can try it for free for a month. And after the first month, it is $50 a month for unlimited clothing plus free shipping. It's called Intentional Style Suite. And you can get all your favorite styles in your virtual closet and get 2 at a time. And you wear it as much as you want and switch out as much as you want. You send the items back whenever you're ready. You just click that you're ready to send it back and you get items sent to you right away, even before you put it in the mail. So you get free exchanges, free shipping, free dry cleaning. And the best part about it is there's no commitment. Cancel anytime. Head over to intentionalstylesuite.com and let me know what you think.